It started. Okay, so I'm with Jamal from
NGUVU.
NGUVU. Tell us about the name of the band.
So the name actually derived from a Swahili term which means power, force and energy, and I actually came up with that name through my musical education through university, because I was an ethnomusicologist at the time. Okay. I studied ethnomusicology, and I was studying like the relationship between dance, capoeira and music, so I came across the term ngoma, which means movement and dance. And I wanted to have a name with a band that actually translates into something that has something a bit of an oomph, but wasn't too long-winded. So I thought NGUVU, and there we are with the name.
Wow! And there's 7 of you in the band.
Yes,
right?
7 at least, because it can be very varied.
Right. So you've got like a varied lineup. So you have like other members that sort of dip in and
we have
a bit.
Yes, we do have a very core group. So we have myself on drums and vocals as well.
Okay.
The main vocalist is Babs Hutchinson, formerly of Liquid Beach.
Right.
We have Teo Weeks, who was also on the vocals. We have Letitia Alexandratos,
that's a name. Beautiful.
aka Trees Are Good. She's on the tenor sax. On alto sax, we have Helena Jane Summerfield, who also has her own jazz radio show on Reform Radio. We have Wayne Brown on keyboards. We have David Lloyd on bass, who's also the father of Katie Lloyd, who's the bass player for Lottery Winners.
Right, okay.
Ijaz Ibrahim on guitar, who's also the little brother of Aziz Ibrahim, who used to play guitar for Simply Red, Stone Roses and Ian Brown as well.
Interesting, okay. So that's quite an interesting lineup you got. How would you describe your genre and the style of your music?
There's too many words and too many adjectives, but I think the one defining thing is groove. Groove heavy.
We like groove. Yes, we like that.
We always to bring the bit of the Nubian in bonnets. We bring the seasoning. Always bring the seasoning to the cookout.
We always bring the seasoning to the cookout.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
very nice.
we don't have no potato salad in there. So.
Well, I like potato salad.
Yeah, but you have to earn the potato salad. So yeah, if you've watched Black Panther version of Black Jeopardy on Saturday Night Live, you'll get the joke.
Right. Yeah, I have. So, apart from the yard that we're playing at this evening, have you got any other festivals, gigs, anything lined up?
We have recently been accepted as to play for the Manchester Jazz Festival this year, which is May 21st.
Nice.
We're going to be playing also at Academy 3 on the 17th of April as well. And we are in the pipeline. We have potential gigs at Band of the Wall, but that's to be confirmed. And also Matt and Fred's, which is also to be confirmed.
Okay, well, that's not. You've got things going on. Have you got any other festivals coming up, say summertime?
Again, to be confirmed, but I'm always applying. I'm always just reaching out to people.
I'm always trying to get information out of people that's not out there yet.
Actually, Green Island Festival, which is. There's a potential Green Island Festival in Hume, which is the Hume Garden Centre on the 30th of July. Again, to be confirmed, but I will.
You've got stuff in it. You've got penciled in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you all based in Manchester?
Yes.
That helps, I find.
Yeah.
You get a lot of bands now where they're spread all over the place, but they make it work thanks to Zoom, social media, all kinds of things. But you're actually all in Manchester. So, what part of Manchester are you based in?
Personally. I actually grew up in Moss Side, but I'm currently in Rusholme. And actually, I'm actually, even though I was born here, I kind of feel like I'm a bit of a Jamaican immigrant because I spent a lot of time in Jamaica. Because I am a 4th generation Windrush.
Wow. Okay.
So there's that, and I do have a musical family, which I might actually leave to another question.
Yeah. Now's that question. Tell me about your family. Are they musical?
Yes, actually, funny enough, my parents actually met through being in a band together.
Okay, that's nice.
They actually used to be in a band called African Velvet back in the 80s. And I have other uncles and family members who are musically gifted. My cousin actually played with me in NGUVU, Wayne Brown, he's also the older brother of Leanne Brown, who's actually was part of Sweet
He's gate crashing again.
Dude.
Are you?
Elliot. Sax or GTFO?
We're always honoured by your presence, so don't worry about that.
I'll be there next interview.
Boo, hiss. So, before I was rudely interrupted, so I am... Damn it, Molly, not now.
Molly's here.
So, this is the thing. I get so many cameos in my interviews and in my media. So it's like I'm like Marvel versus Capcom.
I think she might be tempted to customise your waistcoat actually and put a few sparkles on there. I think it's streaming out of a few sparkles. Wouldn't you agree?
Sparkly hat though, if you get it in the right light.
I got sparkly hats and sparkly grooves.
So that's all that matters then.
Yeah. So back on topic.
Yes.
My cousin Wayne Brown is the older brother of Leanne Brown, who used to be one half of Sweet Female Attitude back in the 90s with the song Flowers.
Wow.
My uncle is a guy called Mikey Wilson, who used to be who I say is one of the best drummers in the country, if not the world. He actually backed Lionel Richie, Stevie Wonder. He used to play for 808 State, he used to play for Dust Junkies, he used to play for Swing Out Sister. Okay. He played for one of the late great Diane Charlemagne, God rest her soul, rest in peace. Played on all of Kareem Belly Ray's albums, and currently plays for Secret Night Gang.
Have any of your musical relatives given you any advice about
the
music business?
Yes. My uncle the first bit of advice my uncle gave me is to write my own songs.
Stay out of it.
Write my own songs. And he also said the industry is not very, very friendly to black people. So he's very a lot of my his philosophies have actually rubbed on to me in terms of being a very massive advocate of black music, black musicians, and also like the soul and understanding the history. Because if you look at the history of Manchester, or at least if you think about the history of Manchester, you always think of like, the Smiths, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays, Oasis, stuff like that. But you don't think of bands or musicians like Basil Clark, people like Cleopatra, Cleo Higgins, thinking of Cool Down Zone, 52nd Street, thinking of the Dust Junkies as well, thinking of Kid British, thinking of even people like Barry Black, the Blenderholics.
It's very true.
So there is a massive bit of history, even like places like the Renos and the Rastafarian HQ, and bands like Harlan Spirits and Fourth Generation, which my father was a part of. There's a massive bit of history that has been swept under the rug and lost in time. And part of the reason why I created NGUVU was to respect that part of history, and if I could, make my own history on my own back.
Yeah, I mean, do you think things are changing now? Because you think by now, surely.
It's so funny because I actually was part of a festival called Sonder Festival in 2018. And funny enough, there was one of the founders of Pufferfish, and she Pufferfish PR, and I was asking her, why are we putting a lot of indie guys on here? Why aren't we pushing a lot of urban or black musicians? And she says, we don't do that because we don't get that press. And it's funny enough because that reflected 30 years ago, where Dust Junkies couldn't get on like the Melody Maker, NME, all those magazines, because and I couldn't even get the front cover because on their own admission, they said, if you put a black face on there, they'd lose sales. And he's not even on that local level. They said the same thing to a band called Eternal in the 90s, like black people don't sell magazines. And I wanted to change. It's one of those things where I could go on just go on a massive spiel, but I don't know if I could maybe transition that to the next question.
What would you like my next question to be?
What would you like your next question to be?
What do you feel that you can do to change things so that...
Be present.
Right, okay.
Be present. I know, again, Manchester has its undergrounds, it does have its pockets. Britain does have its pockets. But I do believe in a lot of ways Manchester has a massive, not only a diversity problem in terms of representation and also in terms of presentation. There is not a lot of not just, again, when you look at black musicians, you think rappers, grime artists, you think Bugsy Malone, you think people like Manchester, people like H, which, again, they're doing their thing, but, again, you're not looking at, in Manchester, you're not looking at people like myself or people like Gary Washington who came from the States, from the South, to actually make a name in Manchester. I think there's a lack of presentation in terms of black songwriters and black composers. That's the most important thing as well, because we have this thing, especially when you have the Noel Gallagher kind of type of people who are like the real music, people who are like, hey, you don't play acoustic guitars, or you play this, that, and third, or you don't know real music. But it's like, mate, I'm also an MC, I'm a rapper, but I also transcribe, I also compose. I compose hip hop, I compose funk soul, this, that, and the third. So it's not just, it's breaking these stereotypes. I think it's great nowadays when you have people like, you have MCs like Berry Black, you have people like Truce, you have Lay Full Stop, who have backing bands. But I try to take it a step further where, yeah, I am a musician, so I'm an MC, but also I'm a real musician. I hate that term because it's so disingenuous. It's a bit of a dog whistle in a way, but you are breaking those boundaries as well. One of my biggest heroes was a guy called Soweto Kinch, who was from Birmingham, which the Pagans were previously performing, so they're from the same city, and he was a phenomenal MC. He was also an amazing jazz trumpeter and an amazing jazz saxophonist. He was when I was about 15, 16. I met him when I was actually at work at the Contact there, and he was one of my most influential albums was the Tales from the Tower Block, the life of the B-19, and the sax production, it was sax jazzy, but it had that oomph and that hip hop.
You gotta have them.
Yeah, because the thing is like Robert Glasper actually said, jazz is the mother of hip hop. But I also say this a step further, jazz and blues are the parents of hip hop, and hip hop for me is very flexible. And I also say, and that influences my style of writing, but also like the 80s kind of jazz fusion stuff, like the Dave Weckls, the Dennis Chambers, the Loose Ends, the 52nd Streets, the Jazz Defectors. Again, the Jazz Defectors were a Manchester band. They sang, they danced, they did a lot of jazz lasting stuff, and they had one of the most groundbreaking albums back in the day, and they didn't get any credit for it. Same with people like Basil Clark from Yago. He was one of those guys that broke the boundaries, broke the stereotypes, because before you weren't allowed to, a lot of black musicians weren't allowed to do anything else but maybe just jazz, soul, maybe reggae. But he wanted to do rock, he wanted to do a bit of indie. And again, he set levels. Same with Skunk Nancy, same with Skins. They set levels.
I love Skunk Nancy.
And same with people like DJ Paul. Like they were part. I actually met DJ Paul on one of my DJ courses. Absolutely amazing woman.
Well, it's been really interesting and enlightening talking to you. And I'm sorry that we missed your set. You opened up this evening at the Yard, so I hope you had a good amount of people watching
great.
you. It's packed in here today.
It was. So. We had a very. I think for what it was now, I think we had pretty much a 75 to maybe 80% capacity of what it is now. And again, they were so receptive. They were so responsive. Again, it's like I was talking to Dave, and it's like every time Dave won my bass player, and he said every time we have a good audience, no matter how small it is, no matter how big it is, we always smash it. And it's one of those. I have that attitude of we all have the performance anxieties and nerves of performing. That is a very valid thing. And if you feel nervous, you feel triggered, you feel this, that, and the third. That's valid. That comes with the territory. But you have to have that. If you have that taking care of business of, I feel nervous. I feel that horrible thing in my stomach, but I'm going to use that to fuel myself. And I'm going to. And I've grown up all my life in terms of proving people wrong. I've been in that situation where I don't feel that I'm worth anything, or people underestimate me. I'm that person that I will prove you wrong. I'm not gonna have any egos or attitudes about it. I'm not gonna basically brag about how good I am. I'm gonna show you how good I am.
And that's a lovely feeling.
Yeah.
Proving people wrong when
Exactly.
they underestimate you.
Yes, I think it's. Do you know when they have the whole things of extraordinary claims? They actually require extraordinary evidence. I always live by that in terms of musicality, and I also always live by the whole Bruce Lee philosophy as well. Being very flexible and open, and also rejecting what's useless and absorbing what's useful, and bringing something that's uniquely myself and uniquely everyone else's.
I think that's a very good philosophy that everyone can take on board, and I think we're going to leave it on that note. It's been really lovely talking to you.
Thank you.
I hope to catch you next time.
Thank you for actually taking the time to interview me. It really is.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. So, like I say, great speaking to you. I hope everything goes well for you, and I wish you all the very best.
Likewise.
Thanks.